Conversations have continued about the alleged insider plot in the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) to manipulate the 2027 election. Recall that supposed insider revelation that was reviewed about 2 weeks ago concerning how the IREV has been manipulated presently under the leadership of Mahmoud Yakubu in such a way that when the next INEC chairman comes on board, he has it handed over to him, and all he has to do is simply implement come 2027 and also subsequent elections that we have in the country between this year and 2027. And of course, reports emerging from terrorists who have, would I say, made some really damning statements about the security situation of the country. And of course, calls from different quarters for IBAS to be probed to give an account of what the last 6 months of his administration in Rivers State have been like. All of those and many more would definitely take a look at today on the Polity on Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Good morning to you and welcome. My name is Chisom Chinidu, and of course, I am not alone. Franklin Ebuka is here. Good morning, Franklin.
Good morning, Chisom, and good morning, Nigeria. Of course, coming from the weekend, we're in Anambra State here, in Abatet, Idemli North local government area of Anambra State, where there was this very mega homecoming rally for, should I say, yes, it's for Orabefanyi Bezi, which also was an opportunity for them to also offer support to the governor of Anambra State, Professor Chukuma Soludo. That already happened on Saturday. And then on Sunday, we began to hear about the story of the grandfather who was killed in Enugu State. And from what we gathered, the police is saying that they have arrested about 38 persons and they are profiling to know those who are connected to the killing. Quite a sad one coming from Enugu State. And then, if you cross over to beyond the shores of Nigeria, of course, what is happening, should I say, within the confines of the United Nations regarding the state of Palestine, because yesterday Britain, Australia, Canada and Portugal, they all recognize a Palestinian state after nearly 2 years of war in Gaza. Don't forget that they are saying that they feel that two-state solution is the way out of the war between Israel and Palestine, because it's been there for a while in Gaza. And from what we gathered, France, Belgium and some other countries are also poised to follow the seat at the UN General Assembly, which we know, of course, is kicking off today. And from what we gathered too, that about 2/3 of members of the UN have recognized a state of Palestine. But Israel is saying that it's not going to happen, because the Prime Minister of Israel is saying that for UK and Co to have recognized Palestine as a state, that they are giving the ultimate prize to terrorism. So let's go to see how the UN is going to handle this by the time the session begins.
Of course, we're not alone as well. I mean, Franklin and myself, Tony Olisa Mbeki is here to do justice to all of the matters we're going to table today, including the manifesto. Franklin, have you cited the manifesto of the Anambra State Governor?
Is the old one? Is there a new manifesto apart from the old one?
No, I mean for the 2025 election.
Can he have a different manifesto? Can he have something different for what he issued initially? Because it's a continuation of his term. So what we can see is for them to regurgitate and say, okay, this is the charter we have with you that we are going to continue to implement. Unless if they want to add, is there anything they want to add to the one that we have already?
Okay, Dr. Tony Olisa Mbeki, good morning.
Good morning, Chisom Chinedu. Good morning, Nigerians. Good morning, the good people of Southeast. Good morning, India Anambra. Good morning, India Onitsha, Doni, Do. Good morning, everyone. We are back in our sanctuary as usual after the weekend, and we are back to do justice to some of the developing stories. Quite a lot, many things have happened in the polity, and we graciously give God Almighty the glory for making it possible for us to witness these things and also to talk about them. At least for giving us life, for making it possible for us to be here. We also say it's a miracle for us, and then it's marvelous in our eyes. You're welcome.
All right, then we're going to start off by telling you what the front pages of the papers say. And right after that, we're going to dive deeper into making sense of some of those stories we'd find on the front pages. And we are going to start with the Nation newspaper. I'd also like to know that there were a lot of advertorials on the front pages today. But that notwithstanding, on the Nation newspaper, EFCC, 13,000 convictions secured. And of course, but absolutely, we are learning that the EFCC has secured 13,000 convictions. Find that on page 3 of the Nation newspaper. Also, Otedola, over 2 trillion naira siphoned in fraudulent fuel subsidy claims, and Jonathan. Oh well, I like to say that is old story. After the subsidy, what has become of the monies that we have started to save? But that's what you'd find on the front page of the Nation newspaper.
Okay, so let's look at the headlines in these various papers. Of course, we have heard about a headline on Nation newspaper, and like Chisom rightly said that all the papers we have this very morning, they have advertorial. So we're going to look at other headlines captured there. Now let's go over to the headlines we have on Punch newspaper and see what they are like. This very one says, okay, so this one says IBAS rejects Assembly's move to probe 6 months spending. Crude supply to domestic refineries hit 67.6 million barrels. FG is the one saying so. Borno terror attack victims hospitalized in Cameroon. Another headline says 712 billion naira airport expansion stirs unresolved legal land battle. And other headline says 2027 APC opposition lists expectations for next chair. Union imposed truck. Okay. Union imposed truck charges cause fuel price hikes. Dangote. Olubado, I need your guidance. Ladoja tells Oni. LSG mandates reflective jacket for dispatch riders. I don't know if you saw that very story of how a new RTW member brutalized a dispatch rider in Lagos. When I saw the video, it was a great sight to behold. How he beat that guy to stupor, and I learned that the guy eventually died, though he's now in police custody. A drama as Ogun inmates attempting escape rearrested. Falconet edged Rwanda in under 20 World Cup qualifier. And this one says provide names of 330 billion naira beneficiaries. Header tells FG. Tinubu Wike for editors conference in Abuja. And this one says thousands protest in Brazil against lawmakers' immunity bill. And the last one from the Punch newspaper says BRICS slam PDP questions transparency of Tinubu's Rivers peace deal. That yesterday she was on TV. She was asking that people of Rivers State deserve to know the content of the agreement between the president and the Fubara that led to the resolution of the crisis in that very state.
Now she was also calling for a probe on Ibas's administration. While it was quite brief, people of Rivers State need to know what he did with the resources. She was emphatic on our money, I mean the money of Rivers people, in the 6 months that he took over the helms of affairs in that state. But of course, from there we are moving to the Vanguard newspaper. On the Vanguard here you'd see crude oil import hits record high as Dangote refinery reshapes trade flow on page 21. Or $10 to Dapman, your business model outdated. Dangote transforming petroleum sector. Also on the Vanguard newspaper, Benue ambush, 16 security operatives feared dead, others missing. Bandit kingpin to security operatives, killed 10 of us, 20 will emerge. When I saw that statement, I was sort of shocked. This takes some bravery. Of course, we have actually seen a lot of that coming from these elements. But this is something new. 2027 ex-presidential aspirant urges Nigerians to end bad leadership with votes. Benue attacks on officers indicate we are doing something right. Please, spokesperson. And of course, UK begins prosecution of Nigerian extradited from UK for $2 million fraud sextortion. We are finished. P2B fought to Remi Tinubu's birthday donation request. And of course, these are some of the stories you'd find on the Vanguard newspaper this morning.
That headline, and when I saw the headline, I think I understood something quite different. But when I went through that very story, I found out that P2B actually hailed Mrs. Tinubu on her birthday, but he said that it's quite appalling that the wife of the president is the one calling for an overhaul of the National Library, which ordinarily should supposed to have been taken or given utmost priority by the government of the country. Then we go to the Gather newspaper to see the headlines. This one says, Oni visit Olubado, designate Obaladoja. Ondo workers demand 256,950 naira minimum wage. Falano asks court to decide legality of Rivers emergency rule. FG revokes 1,263 mineral licenses over annual service fee default. And this one says Remittable at 65, Shetima, Ababio, Otu, others hail First Lady for humanitarian work. 2027, Kwankwaso return to APC will guarantee Tinubu's re-election. And this one says Kwara to capture transporters' data for identification policy planning. UNGA 2025 FG activates empowerment of 10 million women. And this one says a mockery urges Nigerians to study Obasanjo's life for wisdom, longevity. Police arrest 6 in Benue after deadly attack on tactical team. That story is quite appalling because from what I gathered, that's one policeman who has been at the forefront of trying to annihilate bandits. And when they were responding to a distress call, they were ambushed, and many of them were killed in that very process. This one says 2 more Katsina local government areas enter into peace deal with bandits. And police bust drug syndicate, arrest armed suspect in Delta. And look at this very one that says Odumeji tells congregation he will choose the day he dies. Says no one can see my corpse. Okay, UNGA Shetima leaves Abuja for New York. And this one says Tinubu will try to be president for life like Paul Biya. El Rufai is saying so. If you go to the X handle of Bayon Anoga this very morning, you will see the reply he has given to El Rufai, saying that El Rufai seems to be suffering from psychological problems and perhaps he needs some counseling. And then this one says Nigeria can't wait any longer for state police. Reps Deputy Speaker speaks. Of course, today is public hearing for constitutional review in Abuja, so people are excited to go and share their thoughts regarding some of the proposals that have been made to the 1999 Constitution.
And absolutely, we are taking it from there to take a look at some of these really interesting developments. The weekend was one filled with not big actions, but some questions were raised. All right, and one of which I'd start with this morning being that statement from the bandit kingpin to security operatives saying kill 10 of us, 20 will emerge. And we are hearing that also Katsina State has signed a peace deal, but the notorious bandit leader Kachala Imamaru has warned security operatives that adopting a purely kinetic approach to tackling insecurity in the state would only worsen the crisis, insisting that if you kill 10 of them, 20 will emerge the next day. Mamaru issued the warning at the weekend during a peace meeting between bandit groups and community leaders in Matazi local government area. His remarks, captured in a video shared by counterinsurgency publications Zagazola Makama, came as stakeholders intensified efforts to broker peace between rural communities and armed groups across Katsina. Now, what I figured from here is the presence of would I call it a strong indoctrination system there in the north. Because for one to claim that for every 10 you kill, 20 emerge, and for every 20 you kill, 2030 would emerge. It shows that there is a population of young people who have been strongly indoctrinated and are being groomed somewhere. And again, I also figure that we still have the problem of negotiating. Why are we signing peace deals with armed people? Last week we saw a picture of the one who, in a meeting, Franklin, you recall the one I'm talking about. I'm trying to recall his name now. That came for the meeting with them. Would I call it thoroughly kitted, an armed vest that had plenty of bullets and all of that. And I keep wondering why we keep having these conversations. Yes, probably very strong kinetic measures would not get us to the destination, but would pampering these elements, like we have done over the years, get us what we want? Because for every time that we try to reason with them, people are in their bushes and their camps, being indoctrinated, being groomed. What about the people who are sponsoring their influx of arms? Surely we do not have the sophisticated technology to manufacture here. So we are having these arms crossing borders to get into the Nigerian territory. Why are we not taking a look at these perspectives squarely instead of these carrot and stick approach?
If you look at it, I don't know why some northern governors deploy this method or this approach. For them, they believe it is a shorter way to bring in lasting peace, stability in that very side of the country. But on a bigger picture, one can beg disagree with such approach. And we have seen many of them, and it started from someone. And we saw Masari when he was governor of Katsina State. We saw how he was seen in the bushes negotiating with his armed bandits, armed terrorists. Apart from Masari, even the former governor of Zamfara State, Bello Matawele, he also continued. At this point, we are told that he was even the one sponsoring them. We've seen the successor, the current governor, who has come to say that, look, these people were sponsored by Bello Matawale. And he said he has credible evidence that he has submitted SAM to the office of the National Security Advisor. He has also submitted that to Mr. President, that nothing seems to be going on that. I remember even the former governor of Kaduna State, El Rufai, did the same thing. He said he paid off these bandits, he paid off these terrorists for them to have peace. And we know very well that even Oba Sani, the current governor, is also towing the same line. So in all of this, you can quite see that these things were practices started by different predecessors of these northern states.
Give me a second. I'll read out a particular part of his statement to you, Tony. He said, you people, residents of Matazu local government area, are also part of the problem because you are fond of complaining to security operatives and giving them information. And even when they come to where we are, they don't kill even a bird. Take note, they don't kill even a bird. But you will hear in the news that 10 bandits have been killed and they will be paid. If these security operatives won't be told to leave us alone, then I don't think these peace talks have any importance. They don't kill even a bird, Tony. What exactly are we dealing with? What is the truth? Lives have been lost at every point in time. And they even have the boldness to tell this to the media. What are we dealing with?
We are dealing with monster created by politicians. That's what we are dealing with. And they have been the ones sustaining this monster. And the one thing about these politicians, they don't want these monsters to come out and make certain revelations. They try to show them, and they try to use all manner of tricks to get them off from the public domain where they will speak. And then, good enough, we have seen this over and over. Matawale did this. Was there any peace in Zamfara before he left? The answer is no. Erufai did this. Was there any peace in Kaduna when he left? The answer is no. Masari did it. Was there any sign that there was going to be normalcy? The answer is no. So even in Sokoto State, you can quite understand that this is thoroughly, for now, just one of the thriving enterprise. I've said it many times. Banditry is one of the thriving enterprise we have in this very country. And when you look at the likes of Gumi preaching that this should be sustained, so what it means that you have two parallel governments. Look at the very one we were talking about. They came with their arms, even many sophisticated weapons. And they hung those rifles on their neck, the grenades, and so many things. They came with it. And it means that why they were doing this, and they wore army camouflage. That is very disturbing. They were putting on their own army camouflage with their sophisticated weapon. You saw government representatives and then the governors on one side, and you saw them on the other side, face to face, talking. Is this not a parallel government where we are told that these people do some community works? According to those who have been privy to some of the things going on there, they do community works, they try to impose fines, they settle disputes, and they also have their own courts where these things are resolved with fine impositions. I want to ask, are we still in charge of government in this country? From the look of things, where terror kingpins will brandish their weapons before government in the name of negotiation. Now, can somebody tell us the content of the negotiation? I think I got one where one of the governors was saying that these terror groups or these terrorists are saying that the government should build more hospitals, the government should build schools. That's what
isn't it
somebody was telling us.
Crime for them to have those weapons.
It is. That's another thing. We are terrorists according to government spokespersons and governments in the north, where they are telling us that their demands, according to government, so they are demanding that more schools be built, more hospitals be built, more roads be built. Can you imagine? It's a big indictment. Let me say this, because they don't want to tell us the nature of the agreement, the content of agreement, and it's important. Let me say this: anytime government enters into negotiation or agreement with anybody, the people should be in the know. That is why so many people have been demanding Wike and Fubara to disclose the nature of the agreements between Wike and Fubara. The people are the ones who you can best describe as the government. Power belongs to them, and you are there as their representatives. I've said it many times. You are there as their representatives. The sovereignty belongs to the people, and you now go on to negotiate on their behalf without even disclosing to them the nature, the content of the such negotiation, and without even divulging any information. That is thoroughly out of place. And also, just like I have always said, the one of bandits, terrorists, and I've seen people who are saying, look at, you proscribe Boko Haram, you proscribe some of this group, and you negotiate with them. Do you know what proscription is all about? When proscription is rendered, it means the groups have been outlawed. Wherever they are cited, they will be what? Dealt with decisively, in line with anti-terrorism act. That is what it is. Forget the names they bear, Lakurawa, this and that. They have been changing names, and we are also told that some government, they are negotiating with Boko Haram. Is Boko Haram not a proscribed terrorist organization? And you are going back to negotiate with them. You don't speak with your two mouths open. You are making this statement on one hand, you are deceiving the people on the other hand. So it's important that, just like I said, if you want to stop all this madness, we know how best to stop it. And it's just a thriving enterprise. Money is pumped into some of these things, and most security votes, they cannot even account it. They use all manner of these incendiary practices to cover up security votes appropriated and put into their care, where they spend it the way they want. They use it to buy all manner of properties outside the shores of this country, and at the same time, just for government in that part has been reduced to where you have to negotiate with. Give them their own, give Caesar his own, and then for you return your own and do no jobs, do no project, do nothing. But they can also come up with some camouflage. They will tell you they've done this, we've done that. So the point remains, what is our national policy on handling of terrorist groups? I said it the last time, many don't understand that every country has a policy, especially backed by the legislators or the National Assembly. Even the states, we know the states, they have their own share of power, that is a federating unit, with no doubt. But when it comes to terrorism, is it a state thing or a national thing? And when it becomes a state thing, what extent can they go? And what extent
what are their limits?
The point is, you can't just go into any such of these things and everybody's watching, looking idly, pretending that all is well. And some will tell you here in the southern part of the country, I don't want to justify anything, that you don't give such room for negotiation. But in the northern part of the country, there is such room for negotiation. What kind of disparity are we talking about?
Franklin, isn't this negotiation fueling the entire madness?
Sometimes there are things you look at in the country and then you begin to wonder if there is any ground upon which can be justified, and you will not find any. Why am I saying this? We'll start from the one you made reference to, because you made reference to I think Alelu, either Alelu or Aliero is his name.
Adamu Aliero.
Yeah, somebody who is number 16 on the wanted list by the military, and he was in Dam Musa local government area of Katsina State, where he presided over a peace talk. And when he came for that very peace talk, he was fully armed. I mean, he showed different arms like rocket-propelled grenades, general machine guns at a peace talk. And he had a platform to marshal out what he felt was the proposal for them to have peace. Now, when that one had finished, we now have two other communities also in Katsina State having peace meeting with bandits. Now, look at what is worrisome for me. One is the fact that there was police at that negotiation, there was state government at that negotiation, then there was bandits and some other stakeholders, and they were thinking about, okay, how do we get to bring about peace in this very area? Now, guess what? One of the markets that was closed because of the bandit activities, they've agreed that they're going to reopen it so that these bandits will have access to the market and get supplies for whatever they wanted. Now, I will pick an extract from what the bandit in the recent negotiation was quoted to have told the police DPO at that very
meeting.
Now, he said, to you, the DPO of that Musa local government area, if you want this our peace talk to yield anything tangible, then every favor we seek should be considered and done for us and from your end. Then anything you request from us, bandits, we see to it that it is done. This is just the truth of the matter. It will be shameful if you come to us for something and we don't do it for you, and the same thing goes for you. It will be shameful if we come to you for something and you don't do that for us. Now keep on asking yourself, so what will be that demand that they're going to make? That demand is that they're not going to be tackled. If they come into the community, of course they have to roam around, take whatever they want to take. If they want to impose tax, they can do that, and police cannot say no. Vigilante cannot attack them. Nobody's going to. They will have this very freedom to roam around, and they have this freedom to mix with the communities, and the communities will not report it to the police. In that very case, it's an official recognition of banditry as a way to live. Because I'm just wondering how I'm going to be with a bandit in a community and I can't even say anything about the activities. The problem is that we are breeding a monster that we cannot deal with, because I don't see a way you can enter into agreement with a madman and they expect him to keep to it. It doesn't happen. You cannot enter agreement with a madman. You're talking about bandits who have arms. They have access to illicit substances,
probably more sophisticated than yours.
And of course, and you think that you can enter into agreement and they keep to it, because there must be a point in time where that authority they breed, that they wield, they want to exercise it without any kind of restraint. So would you be able to agree to it? How long would you be able to do this? It don't bring in a lion. It don't bring a lion saying that you're telling a lie, because one day it's going to devour you.
You know, I was wondering when you were speaking, Franklin, why are we even negotiating? I like to think that if we do not feel some sort of helplessness, then negotiation shouldn't be the way out, Tony. Why are we even negotiating? Are we negotiating because we feel overpowered? Are we negotiating because there are some powers that be behind, pushing for these buttons to be played by only negotiations? Why is negotiation even on the table? What sane nation, what sovereign nation negotiates with people who threaten the lives of the people? especially where the first duty of every government is to provide what? Security.
Yeah. I think the US has offered their help. We said nah. France has offered. We said nah. There are so many countries that have offered help to in this area to eradicate Boko Haram, the insurgents, and so many of them. We said nah.
What are the implications?
The implication is
of
that
the help.
the implication, yes, the implication could be yes that there could be other terms and conditions, which could also be that you are going to buy arms from us. You can also give us your oil. Nothing is free when it comes to relationships or international. Nothing is free.
Okay.
But they may be targeting a sizable portion of your oil. Is it not better we give them this oil for them to render this such help for us? And just like I have said here, the governor of Sokoto State, Ahmed Aliyu, did his own. The governor of Katsina State, rather, did his own. In fact, many of them have become a complicit into things of this negotiation. You ask, why are we negotiating? When you're negotiating, what it means that you've lost control. You go into negotiation with anybody you believe, you've lost control. I think it started with negotiating on disarmament. That is where they put up their arms and release some hostages, or release hostages where they will be given amnesty. In fact, that was the very first sign when Aminu Bello Masare, that was in 2019. Even Aminu Tambowa, the then governor of Sokoto State, Bello Metawale, the then governor of Zamfara State, there was a joint agreement where they had these resolutions: disarmament, release of hostages, and amnesty for bandits to address violence in the northwest. Similar efforts were seen in Zamfara and some other places, and the outcome initially brought a lull in the violence, but there's no doubt. But bandits reneged by 2020, leading to renewed attack. In fact, many photos on internet showed and depicted the gory incident. In fact, a photo from June 20 shows Katsina governor in a meeting with armed bandits in the bush. So the point I'm trying to make is, even the Kaduna Plateau cross-border peace agreement, where it involved the Kaduna State peace building institutions under Governor Rufai, I think that's Rufai, supported by network of Nigerian facilitators. They have formed network NNF, and then they resolved in a way of having these things abated. But what happened? It collapsed. So each time there was an agreement, the result is usually where these bandits recruit, enlarge their coast, and come back ferociously. It has always been the case, and these handwritings are usually on the wall. And look at so many of these governors, the former and present, nothing. So what does this tell you? And when Jonathan was fighting this monster head on with the then chief of army staff Inyedidika, what did they say? That Inyedidika was committing genocide. They pressured Jonathan to get him sacked, and Jonathan got him relief of his appointment. I think he was there for 4 to 5 years. But we saw successes. We saw how these things were reduced within certain confinements. But they came back and said, no, leave this thing for us. We know these people, and we know how best to go about it. And the best way they went about it was what we are seeing, where you see a governor, you know what it means, in a bush negotiating with a bandit. It's really out of place. My concern is this will take us nowhere. It has failed. It has continued failing, and it will not also change anytime. Keep trying one thing, and from the moment these people were given recognition, do you know what it means? For you to negotiate with someone is to give that person recognition, and also acknowledge that the person has power and potency. And for you to have given them such acknowledgement, it means that they will say, oh, this is a game, And some politicians are also the sponsors. I don't want to talk about how to foil this, because we know the flow of their funds, how these funds flow from one account to the other. We have where they have bought different war vehicles. I have seen the video. I have the video where they positioned different magazines before these vehicles, station these vehicles, position different magazines, and start speaking Arabic and start speaking the language we don't even understand, saying that we can do that. They have arrived, and they pass through a pathway. These vehicles cost not just millions, billions.
How did they enter the shores of Nigeria?
Billions. You are talking about how they enter the shores of Nigeria. They can one thing is that we have a long border with Niger Republic, over I think 3,000 kilometers stretch of border.
So the
many of them,
of our borders is a problem.
it has always been porous, and we have said here many times you can use technology to have control over your border areas. You don't need manpower. We can use satellite technology and have control, see everything happening. But the truth is that we are not interested. We know the solution. We know how to solve this problem. You think we don't know? Why we allow it to fester is because we feel that it is really enlarging the cost of some who are complicit in this game. Many for them is a business, just like we have the oil bunkerers, these who do all manner of dirty things in Niger Delta. So if Niger Delta can do their own, they are doing their own. That's what they have reduced it to.
Okay, so Tony, let me add, because Chisom asked a question regarding whether going to negotiate with bandits is an indication that we have been overwhelmed. Yes, somebody can say we have been overwhelmed, but I also want to offer a different perspective, because in the real sense of it, we can say that we have been overwhelmed. But if we actually want to deal with insecurity and tackle this very banditry, by beginning to deal with all the moves, deal with all the collaborators, because these very bandits do not strike, they do not work alone. They have persons who are residents of communities. They have persons within security structure who they collaborate with for them to be able to do whatever they do. Now, because I'm looking at the past examples, like Tony mentioned, Zamfara State, Kasna, just mentioned them. I know at some point in time they had this very negotiation with the bandits, where in some cases they were asked to surrender their arms for them to have this very peace deal. But we know that from time to time that was broken. Now, why I'm so much concerned about this recent negotiation is the fact that, from what I have gathered, the negotiation they worked on, we're not going to attack you. You release the people you have abducted, and then we allow you to begin to go to market and do this and do that. This is just a simple way of trying to re-energize this very bandit, because one, people you had earlier deprived of having access to market to get the supplies, they now have free movement to go and get supplies.
Are they even going to be paying?
And funny enough, some of them will begin to trade on some other goods that will earn them money. And when they earn money, what do they use the money for? Now, the arms they have acquired, nobody's talking about to surrender the arms. So the thing is just like you want to weaken yourself because you want to have a fragile peace whereby people will be able to move freer. Maybe you might have reduction in number of kidnappings. Maybe you might have farmers going back to the farm. But when the farmers have gone back to the farm and they're able to produce, can they freely go to the farm without being taxed? So like I said, we are just riding a tiger, and by the time we begin to see the consequences, it could become deadlier than what we're having today.
Really sad development there, and it's made it to the media. We are hoping that the federal government looks at this squarely, doesn't get overtaken by events. Statements like this have emerged in the past. What have we done to stop events that come after them? And they would always tell you, well, they said it and they do it. Fingers crossed. Let's see how this eventually pans out. But a headline in the Punch newspaper says EBAS rejects Assembly's move to probe 6-month spending. And of course, I haven't seen a statement where EBAS expressly said, I am not going to give you any sort of accountability or be probed. But there have been calls. Civil society organizations in Rivers State have demanded accountability from EBAS over the money received from FAC during the 6 months he was in office. All right, and there's also been calls for Governor Fubara to set up a committee, to set up a panel of inquiry, that's the word, to ascertain both federal allocations and internally generated revenue, and also to investigate how the monies were spent. Now, a call on Fubara. Now, last night also, a river stakeholder, a member of the River State Council of Elders, a Niger Delta rights activist also, Ankyo Briggs, said that the people of River State deserve to know the terms of agreement between Governor Siminalayi Fubara and President Bola Tinubu before the 6-month emergency rule ended in the state. And so I am just wondering, Tony, do you see Fubara still being dragged around as against him focusing on the business that he has come to do, which is delivering the dividends of democracy to the people of River State? Do you think he should dabble into what happened when Ibas was sole administrator of River State? And also, do you even think that this call for him to make open the arrangement or the agreement he had with President Tinubu is a wise thing for him to do?
You asked, do you think Fubara should do this? Aren't you aware that Fubara is no more independent?
I mean, there have been calls, and that's why I
he's
asked.
Not independent. Whatever he does must be approved by the organs.
Are they not aware that Fubara is like no longer independent? Why are they trying to like make it look like he's not doing the right thing, where they understand that the way the game is played here in the country, he's being prevented from doing the right thing? And as much as no one is explicitly going to say that, that's why I asked you, all of these things, are they going to distract him?
Fubara is already distracted. He's already more like handicapped. So if you ask if he will be distracted, as if he's not, he's already distracted. The young man is trying to save his family face. I saw him, that was yesterday, where he went for Thanksgiving, and for him the peace he enjoys with the wife is paramount. And we saw during his remark after the service, he was saying that no sacrifice is big for peace, that he can go any length. As far as it, one thing people don't understand, there is 2 types of peace. I don't know.
But he said the cheapest peace is still better than the cheapest war.
That is it. But it depends on the context. There is what they call graveyard peace. If you go to graveyard, there is peace. So those who are there, many of them, you can quite say that they are resting peacefully. But the question is, are they truly resting peacefully? So the point is not about whether he can do this, whether people are trying to drag him. He has said he has a leader. Look at the very broadcast he made, that was on Friday. In that broadcast, he mentioned his leader Nyesom Wike about 5 or 6 times. But I was reading that broadcast script at the point by our leader.
Our leader.
He keeps repeating that from time to time, and then our father is the president. And these are, if you look at the comments by Nigerians, many Nigerians in the comment section say, "Oh, River State is finished. Oh, it is all over."
So you think all of these things are mere academic exercises?
They should see. If you have problem, yes, the people gave him mandate. He willingly gave the mandate to the leaders.
Do you think he willingly did that?
If you say he did not fight to the end. 2 things are involved. One thing must kill a man. Do you want to be there where history or prosperity or the issue
posterity will remember?
Apart from posterity, or where the records will have you in their own good book? Do you want to be there? We've seen people that they made this push, at the end of the day it couldn't go their way and it ended up. The point is, many people have argued, if he had chickened out, if he had been impeached, don't you think that what is going on will still continue to go on? That if he had been impeached, it also means that he lost out in the fight, in the battle, and the anomaly continues. One would say, is it not better for him to stoop so low to conquer, that he may be doing this just to go back second term and show Wike that godfatherism has no place in River State? But from the look of things, he appears that he's no more himself. The confidence is no more there. He speaks, whenever he speaks, you see In fact, what you see is the voice of Esau or the hands of Jacob. I don't know. But the point is, different people, yes, you made a great attempt, but it happened the way it happened. All is not lost. Power is transient. If he could not complete the battle, which he started and chickened out, probably with time, who knows, God may send a Messiah from nowhere to complete what he couldn't complete. But some will give him some kind of thumbs up saying, oh, he tried, he attempted, he was overpowered, he was overwhelmed, and that is why he's what he is now. Depending on the perspective you see him. But they should stop dragging him. Anyone who have any concrete grievance, if I say go to court, they will say, oh, don't you know what it is like to go to court? So it is a complex situation for me, if you ask me. Very complex. My sincere concern goes to the people of River State. My sincere concern goes to and I don't know, because you people are talking about Ibas, and I said it's a kind of a distraction. And then Ibas hasn't spoken anyway, and many are saying he rejected any probe. Can a private individual reject a probe when government wants to do a probe? Can't we see the handwriting on the wall? But you ask, how much did Ibas receive while as a sole administrator in 6 months? I'm going to talk about facts from FAC. I don't know about the IGR. In the month of March, Ibas received 44.66 billion naira, including 25.29 billion from 13% oil derivation and also 16.35 billion from VAT. That is March from FAC. In April, he received 44.42 billion, including 20.57 billion from oil derivation and 21.02 billion from VAT. In May, 42.8 billion. In June, 42. I'm just trying to let you know the money he received from FAC. In July, he received 38.4 billion, which also included 20.70 billion from oil derivation and 15.03 billion from VAT. In August, he received 41.7 billion naira, including 19.73 billion from oil derivation and 22.03 billion from VAT. I don't have the records for September because I think that is not made available. September hasn't come and gone, so it's understandable. So if you look at the total, 13% oil derivation, Ibas received a total of 133.24 billion, which is about 52.4% of the FAC inflows. Remember, River State is a giant when it comes to oil production. So if you look at VAT, he received a VAT of about VAT receipt 107.78 billion, which is about 42% of the net allocation. Debt service deduction, because why these things were ongoing, 26.31 billion was subtracted across the months. So that is what that implies. In fact, the query focuses on his VAT allocation. We're not talking about IGR. So
Tony, can I come in here? Because okay, let me smile a bit, because what we know that the very first day the River State House Assembly started, that was the day they said they were going to look into how money from the consolidated revenue was spent within that very 6 years. Of course, somebody like me will say, of course, they have to say that. Of course, they have to run a commentary for us to know that they have resumed. But in the of course, that's what they did. That's what they did, because in the process of it, I've been asking myself, if you are saying that the government under 6 months should be probed, it's a right call. But the question has been, who is going to initiate the probe? Who is going to do that? Is it the two of them are in the same rope, tied together? And the other question is, if the House decides to go and probe Ibas, is it not tantamount to probing Mr. President who appointed Ibas? So for me, everything is just in the realm of, let's just speak because you want to speak. But if there's going to be any probe, there will be none. And if there's any attempt nothing will come out of it. Nothing will come to the public. It will just be a natural event because, as it has been determined from the central, that's where it's going to be. So I don't see anything coming up from this very probe. Let's just run with the commentary, and as usual, of course, is Ogadi Biberento is going to die this very way.
All right then. Fingers crossed. Let's see what happens in the coming days. Unfortunately, like Tony said, it looks like the hands of River State Governor Simnalai Fubara, his hands are tied. We are looking forward to seeing him for the rest of the days he has in office, at least deliver to the people of River State.
Somebody who said that he resisted pressure to challenge his removal because he believed that there's no sacrifice too much for peace. And is that the person you expect to go and begin to probe the past administration?
That is it. And then he can also sacrifice River State funds for peace to reign. The people suffer. There is no doubt. Because he can keep sacrificing. When these funds, can you imagine a state like River? Do you know their FAC allocation for month 40 something billion? 40 something billion FAC allocation for a month? How many states do get that?
This is even part of the internal generated revenue.
He's not part of it. He's not part of it. And the truth is that, this man, there's so much money there. He's one of the richest states. In fact, River State is number one richest state in this country from the look of things. And look at the money coming in as fuck. And these monies were superintended by Ibas. Ibas should be the most happiest person. While he was in the Navy, he never had such opportunity. And behold, such opportunity comes. The truth remains that he will keep sacrificing because there is no sacrifice too big for peace. And the peace he's talking about is to make some political so-called leaders to be happy, and for them to be happy, if it means pumping in the River State funds for them to be happy, leaving the developmental works, so be it. And then somebody also pretending appropriation. Well, let's leave that. And it has been what it is. It is what it is.
If we're going to check records across Nigeria, is there any state in Nigeria we can mention and say that the House or the governor embarked on probing the past administration and he was able to bring it to conclusion?
I think there's none.
That's none.
Because many of them set up commission inquiry commissions, and we have seen them either being used as a witch hunt tool or what you have. But the key thing is we have anti-graft agency, and the question remains: would they invite Fubara? Because for me, if you talk about the state probing the past of the sole administrator, whatever be the finding, they will take that finding to court. But can they do that? And we have the anti-graft agency EFCC. They do the way they want. They can always invest. If you write petition, court will tell you, don't tell them when to do their work. And they can only go after you when they feel that they have any reason to go after you. And when probably the powers that be have directed them, get his file, and your file will be brought. So the point is, the institutions of the state, they are so weak, so feeble, and we have got an institution that cannot even do anything unless provoked by those who appointed them to do this or do that. The assembly, just like I said earlier on, they will not do anything. They're just trying to show that we can do this, we can do that, but it is not part of terms and agreement. Remember, whatever Fubara does will be in line with terms and agreement. He's the only governor in Nigeria that governs with terms and what? Agreement. In most times you see these adverts, they will tell you terms and conditions do what? Apply. So Fubara is terms and condition governor. So he governs with terms and condition. He's the only one. I don't know if there's any other governor. Probably, I don't know. I don't want to bring in some other persons, but I think he should be either. There are two in this country. I won't mention the other person for now, but his own is well boldly written. The other person is giving some kind of leverage. And then when you remember what happened in his own state, when the speaker was removed, do you know how the speaker was returned without his involvement, without his knowledge, where he watched even the hands of Pontius Pilate, and then said, I'm not involved. And he was ordered to restore the status quo. In fact, it happened before him. He couldn't even know what was actually going on. So the point remains that this is the democracy we have all agreed that should be practiced. And this democracy is not good enough. It is so good for us, and we're enjoying the democracy.
Well, so you don't misinterpret it. That was actually sarcasm. Let's go over to other matters. Yesterday, conversations continued concerning the appointment of who is going to take over from Mahmoud Yakubu when his tenure of the Independent National Electoral Commission expires by the end of the year. Also, 2 weeks ago, that supposed revelation emerged about speculations about who is going to replace him, being one, and also, secondly, about what is already happening in the internal structures of INEC, especially with the technology in terms of rigging election in 2027. Yesterday, former aviation minister Osita Chidoka said a lot of things in terms of trying to make sense of those allegations, and also the implications on the credibility of polls in Nigeria, the health of Nigeria's democracy, the trust that the people have on the system, and most importantly, the constitutionality or not. Of course, that's what the Constitution says, but what happens going forward? What can we do about that part of the Constitution that allows the president, as much as he has to go through certain processes, the sole responsibility of appointing INEC chairman?
I've said it many times that it is one of the amendments that if we want to get things to work in this country, we must do that. Yes, if you go by that very section of the Constitution that set up the different executive bodies, you can understand that the appointment rests on Mr. President. There are ones that he may need to consult the Council of State, but there are ones that once that consultation is done, he makes the appointment, and after that appointment he refers to the Senate and the person will be sworn in. So in so doing, I have canvassed that for us to get electoral reforms right, it is the cardinal amendment that we should be talking about. Cardinal. So that section of the Constitution makes it possible that Mr. President can appoint the INEC chairman in consultation with advice from the Council of State. And the Council of State has to do with the entire 36 state governors, and then past head of states and head of governments and president. So, but most times it's just advisory. Mr. President brings in who he wants and then presents it before these people, and he goes on to do what he wants to do. And the same president will be part of the election conducted by that. Remember, there is this argument going on. Last time we spoke about this, we said we wouldn't mention those people that are being speculated. In fact, there was one person, but we did some fact checking and we discovered that the person does not even exist. But remember, there are two regions in the country that have not produced the INEC chairman or the chairman of the electoral body. The last we were here, we listed all of them, and I also mentioned where they were from or where they are from. For those who are still alive, where they are from. For those who are late, where they were from. So it's important that section 154 of the Constitution should be looked into, especially the area that affects the appointment of INEC chairman. Now we are told that Mr. President has beamed his attention towards North Central. North Central and Southwest. In the history of this country, they have not produced INEC or NEC or electoral chairman. They have not. So, but there's no president or head of state during his time who brought in electoral chairman from his own region. None. So if President Tinubu goes on now to appoint from Southwest, he has broken a record. He will be in the history the only president that appointed this time around INEC chairman from his region.
Well, that is just one side of the story, Tony. Where the person comes from is one side of the story. What the person does is what is even more important now, given the fact that he has been solely employed by the one person he is supposed to be the judge in his own case. By being the judge, I mean INEC is supposed to be the sole umpire in the 2027 election, and if Tony, I pay you, I expect that you blow your flute the way I want it, to the tunes I can dance, or to the you blow melodies I can dance to, and all of that. And so that has been one of the questions that people have been raising. What can we do to take away the power of the president to be the one who would appoint the next INEC chairman after Mahmoud Yakubu's tenure?
It's late. There's nothing you can do now. It's completely late. So for you to have that taken away from Mr. President, it requires constitutional amendment. And for you to do this amendment, remember 24 state houses of assembly will be involved. At least 24 to 10, that's what the constitution says.
Then 2027, I mean, if Mahmoud Yakubu's tenure expires, can somebody be put there in holding while a constitutional amendment happens, and then we can have probably another system of bringing an...
If you put somebody there in acting capacity, under which law are you relying to do that? See, there's no law that says you must put in somebody there in acting capacity. Whatever you do must be consequent upon a particular law.
Let me how is this said now? Let me restate.
Okay.
What I mean is, yes, he still has the power to replace Mahmoud Yakubu when his tenure is over. So let him go ahead. But before his election, can we start working on a constitutional amendment that would warrant that we have a total overhaul of INEX management?
Anybody Mr. President puts in there will serve out 5 years.
Must serve out 5 years.
5 years. So within that 5 years, we can begin to make the necessary constitutional amendments.
I see where the bottleneck is now.
Yes, whereby by the time the person finishes, we have a new maybe act, electoral act, and we have even constitutional amendment. Because most importantly is the constitutional amendment, where states are involved. Where even the House of Representatives and even the Senate, the state houses of assembly, they are involved. And we know very well that these state houses of assembly, many of them, they are appendages to their executive governors. So the executive governors, you can best say, is the state assembly is the executive governor. So it also requires affirmation from these executive governors. And can they do that? Can any king surrender a particular power that favors him? It's difficult. Very difficult, but that is what it is.
Okay, so Tony, I want to ask if there's any way we can manage what we have, because obviously there's nothing we can do now when it comes to the issue of appointment of INEC chairman. There's nothing we can do now to change the process.
They cannot.
Of course, the next one is going to emerge through the process we have run for several years, which Tony has cited, where it is documented in the 1999 Constitution. But if you look at that very 1999 Constitution, there are certain specifications that the Constitution recommend that the person who is going to be appointed must be of unquestionable character, the person must be impartial, the person must not be partisan, and what have you not. The person must have a clean record, and what have you not. Plenty of things that must be, that needs to put into recognition while making this very appointment. And like Tony cited that, every power still lies in the president, as much as he can consult National Council, then nomination, send it to the National Assembly for confirmation, but everything still lies within his powers. Now, is there anything we can do at this point in time? Is there any way we can expect the president to show that, he wants to bring about reform that the government of the day has brandished all the time? Because each time government of the day talks about Nigeria, they talk about the reforms that they have brought in, that they are taking Nigeria to a new level. So what is that possibility that this government can decide to do a slight noble thing by looking forward, by looking to somebody who has some element of credibility? Kobo said that now the person who has credibility is now having a guilty conscience that I have to be loyal to the person who appointed me. But what's that possibility that by the time a name comes up, that name could be a name that many Nigerians will look at and say, okay, let's see how this person is going to do this. Take, for instance, when Jeka was appointed, Jeka was seen as a man who has some level of credibility when he was appointed. And by the time he was leaving, Mahmoud wasn't too much known, but there was also some element of credibility around him until when he began to do his, until when elections under him were held and people began to have divergent views about his kind of person. So is there that possibility that this government of the day can give us somebody that we can say, okay, be like say, let's try a bit.
I think we are following the rumors anyway, but we can go by the rumors. The president is trying to say, okay, you know what? I want to bring in a retired judge, at least if technocrats, acclaimed professionals, because if you look at those who have had or held that position, they were perceived to be technocrats or professionals before the appointment. But many have doubted them. In fact, the low point of Mahmoud was the announcement of 2022 general election around 3 a.m. when Nigerians were sleeping, and where he failed in many of his promises that these results will be transmitted electronically. The IREV, where many Nigerians believe that IREV is another result sheet, without knowing that IREV was just a portal for you to view, and where he made us to believe that whatever that will be on that IREV would also be what would be at the collation centers. He gave a lot of confidence. But I must say this, many people don't even know this, that the last election, general election 2023, was the lowest when it comes to turnout, 29 point something percent generally.
Well, that's the data, Tony, but sorry to butt in there. Recall the allegations that have been flying around about the manipulations prepared for 2027. One of the allegations is that the IREV is going to tally with the result sheets, so that they are going sort of manipulated in a way that they would tally. Now, the big question now is, if manipulations have also gotten to that extent, it means we have a more recent problem. And so we should start looking for a more recent solution. And IREV surely is possibly no longer the solution.
Let me say this thing. I want to state one major thing apart from this you've mentioned. Remember, let me say this, Mr. President. There is this rumor that you want to appoint Justice Abdullahi Muhammad Liman. There is a rumor. It's flying everywhere that you want to appoint him as the new INEC chairman.
Who is Lima?
Retired Justice of Court of Appeal. He's a retired judge. It's flying everywhere.
What is known about Lima's character?
Now, I'm going to come back to that. And there are many public opinions about Justice Muhammad Liman. He is from Nassau State. He's from Nassau State. And now Nassau State is not central part of this country. That is a kind of the one of the regions that had never produced the INEC chairman. But the key thing, look at the things people are seeing to wonder that this rumor may be true. Justice Muhammad Liman was promoted to the Court of Appeal around May 16, 2025. May 16. And then before you know it, he retired. Even before the retirement age.
Voluntary retirement.
Yes, very bizarre. He retired before the retirement age. That is one. And then there are some issues people have around him. One, he ordered the installation. In fact, he issued an injunction restraining Kano State Governor Abba Yusuf from enforcing the Kano State Emirate Council repeal law, preventing the reinstatement of Sanusi Lamido Sanusi as Emir. And this created stalemate between Sanusi and deposed Emir Adu Bayero, where likes of Buba Galadima alleged bias. There was also a petition on judicial misconduct, which the Nigerian NJC dismissed anyway, because the NJC dismissed a petition against Liman and 4 other judges for alleged misconduct, clearing the way for his promotion to the Court of Appeal. And the petition, according to NJC, lacked merit or evidence, but its existence highlights scrutiny over his conduct. We also remember, because we are talking about that injunction he gave on the issue of reinstatement of Sanusi was when he was judge of the Federal High Court, before his promotion anyway. There was also an order he issued stopping Ganduje's suspension by AC faction over bribery allegation. Remember, there was suspension by one faction of APC in Kano State that suspended the then APC national chairman. Remember, there was a state high court upholding it, but his own court stopped Ganduje's suspension. There was also another order he gave stopping Ganduje's arrest over dollar stuffing scandal. And there was also, he presided over a case filed by Peters Osawore or Morabon, NCP candidate against INEC and the Attorney General regarding the 2020 election. Ruling was scheduled for December 2020 but delayed over a year, with the case not heard until October 13, 2020, where Omoreben accused Lehman of misconduct and dereliction of duty for such delays. So we can also understand that DSS, I remember his Port Harcourt residence was raided by the Department of State Services, who claimed to recover $2 million in cash amid a broader crackdown on judges. Remember, that was in 2016 when Buhari came in. He was one of those judges that their homes were raided, but there was this claim. I remember the then Governor Nyesom Wike intervened to prevent Lima's arrest, and Liman denied the claim anyway, saying that such money was not found on the, was not found in his home, and they said that it was more like propaganda by those who had come against them. And if you look at the case between Fubara and Wike, remember he was once heading a federal High Court in Port Harcourt. So I can go on and on. The point I'm trying to make is the rumor is becoming so thick that the president may, for the fact he resigned voluntarily after being after being promoted to the Court of Appeal, something we've not seen apart from the former the Supreme Court judge who resigned before his age, citing ill health. But the point I'm trying to make is, Mr. President, if this rumor is true, consider all these issues people are bringing, people are throwing
and
around.
You really think these are not known about Liman? These are things on the public. No. These are things that we followed.
But that's the one we are saying.
You today.
Everything is going on in secrecy. And if you go out from the voices, from the political sources, that it seems that the whole thing is shifting towards Muhammad Liman. But Mr. President, like if Baba Galanima said, if it happens to be him, there is going to be great catastrophe.
Okay. So this is the speculation on one side, because this is speculation. There's also another speculation somewhere that someone already within the INEC structure is being groomed to take over from
another speculation.
That too.
For Yakubu. So all of them, they are in the realm of speculation. But where I want to dwell on is this, because I still want to see, if we actually want to reform the country, of course, we should be able to do the right thing, not minding whose ox is gored, because Odema is for your good and for our own good too. Now, and look at that. Let's assume that the president is going to do the honorable thing by looking at the qualities as outlined in the 1999 Constitution. Can we find that very man in Nigeria who can be appointed to that position and he's not in any way politically affiliated to anybody? Can we find that very man with integrity? Can we find that man who will be impartial and be able to deliver an election that we are going to be proud of? Because in Nigeria, it's either you are aligned politically, you are aligned religiously, or you are aligned ethnically.
Oh, well, that's a rhetoric there, because I don't know if we can find that man, but we quickly need to go attend to some commercials. When we come back, we'd open up the phone lines, and of course the conversation is going to be coming in now from your end. You can put a call across or go to our Facebook at Udala Radio 104.7 FM and drop your comment right there.
Udala Radio 104.7 FM. My people,
I present to you the most preferred governorship candidate for Anambra State, John Chuma Nwosu of the African Democratic Congress, ADC. John Chuma Nwosu is ready to take Anambra State from insecurity to peace, from regression to progression. Vote John Chuma Nwosu. Vote ADC, African Democratic Congress.
ADC! ADC!
Your quality bread, Wendy's bread, for your family breakfast. Wendy's bread, Opa chicken they do yellow. Wendy's bread, Mama Papa they like Wendy's bread, that chicken they don't do. Wendy's bread, even children they like Wendy's oh Wendy's bread, Wendy's bread, get it better tasty, we go sweet your belly. Wendy's bread, Wendy's your body choma. Wendy's bread,
Wendy's bread, your tasty bread. You can contact us on our official address, 2nd Business Park, Enugu Road, GRA, beside Misha, Anambra State. We also have another branch at St. Michael Plaza at Tandy Road. Also contact us on 070-1149-1571. Wendy's bread, your tasty bread.
Wendy's bread.
Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Seriously authentic.
You're listening to the Polity. Get involved now.
Absolutely, the back behind the stage, is actually more exciting sometimes than on the stage. If you know, you know. Well, you can join the conversation now. 0803-221-6973 or 0803-827-6694. We started the conversation from Katsina State, where bandit commander has threatened the police security operatives that for every 20 you kill, we have 30 in the bush, and for every 10 you kill, we give you 20 more terrorists to make life tough, not just for you, but for innocent Katsina people, and of course the people of the local government where they reign suzerain. And from there we moved on to some political talks, calls for River State government, now headed by the democratically elected governor Simnalayi Fubara, to probe the 6-month administration of sole administrator IBAS. And from there also we took a swipe at INEC. What is happening? So many allegations coming from all quarters. Who is going to succeed Mahmoud Yakubu? His tenure expires in a couple of months. What happens after that? 0803-221-6973, 0803-827-6694. Go straight to the point. 2 minutes, be as objective as possible. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, the parliamentarian.
Good morning.
You are blessed. Opike from Obosi.
Go ahead.
I proceed. In this country, I begin to notice that the president, the governor, senators, lawyers name them, police, army name them. What are you telling me in this country that you are negotiating with which people? Blood-sucking demon woman beings that kill innocent soul in this country, that kill people that don't do them nothing, and you are telling the world you are negotiating with which people? See, in this country, I've noticed that human being life is nothing to them. But before they enter that seat, they swear, president and governor, that they will protect life and property. Today, it's another way around. It's a big slap on the face of than that. As far as whether the INEC president is coming, Yoruba, Igbo, Hausa, as far as his president will bring the president in, we are still where we are. Nothing will change. I rest my case here. You are blessed.
Thank you for your contribution. Let's hear you. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Yeah, my name is Basilugu. I'm not hearing you, but I know you're hearing me. Let me continue saying what I'm saying.
Oh, dear Basil, please go ahead.
Okay. Thank you, Chino. From what is going on in INEC and the election of the INEC chairman, it's like a football match that is going to happen with Mr. Manu. And the Chelsea was called upon to bring the victory. So what do you think is going to happen? Election of 2027 is like gone. Because the president is going, alone is going to appoint the INEC chairman. And appointing the INEC chairman is like appointing a referee that is going to play to blow the match between you and other political parties. What do you think is going to happen? It's already go. And we have a lot of problems. And I don't even know this problem is going to solve. Because our National Assembly are not doing good at all. Some people are saying about third tenor. And third tenor, when you look on this, you look at it's something that is going to be visible. Why am I saying this? Because the National Assembly is there. Whatever the president brings in is ready to assign. So who told us that if our president brings third tenor agenda that is not going to be assigned? Nigeria is going down and it's very bad for democracy. And I want to ask Tony, please, is there any other country that practices this kind of politics with politics in Nigeria where the president has the right to appoint the INEC chairman that's going to blow the whistle? Thank you.
All right then. 0803-221-6973. Tony, would you quickly answer that?
There are a few countries, there's no doubt. It's not only Nigeria. But most importantly, there are countries that have allowed their judicial system to take over issues of election, like in Brazil, I mentioned the other time. In Brazil, the body of Supreme Court judges, they do election. I explained it the other day. They do election among themselves. And 3 persons will emerge, not chief judge or as it were in Nigeria. The lower court, that's maybe at the level of appeal court, they will do election again. 3 persons, and then within themselves, 1 person from the Supreme Court comes up top as somebody who moderates the proceeding. And it is not a tenuous something, because they do not bungle all their electoral processes and practices in one body. They try to unbundle them and assign roles and responsibilities to bodies as the case may be. Now, if you come to Kenya, where the president maybe has a little input, but not overriding input, so that just be the case. Probably by the time we go deep into this, I can also let you know how these things are factioned out in some countries. In where we borrowed our democracy from, nobody, even Trump, has no. There's nothing like INEC in US. I've said it many times here. Nothing like INEC. States in US have more roles to play. In fact, the NEC, what we may call INEC in US, they are after election expenses. They are after institutions have taken over the conduct itself, but what we may call INEC in their own claim, they are after the election expenses. Money given to you cannot be spent by you. There are bodies that supervises, that superintends how these donations are made, how these monies are deployed. See, you have to function out what works for you. What we have here is not working and will not work.
All right then, let's hear you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning. Turn down the volume on your radio set, please.
I've done that already.
Go ahead. Name and location.
Good morning.
You're welcome.
Good morning. My name is Emmanuel. I'm calling from.
Go ahead.
When we are during the 2016, when Buhari was to come into this Thomas president of this country, so many people we are catching up from here and there. We are told that Mbeki had been working before. If we were talking somebody, the other one from Lewi, from the other one from La, the other one from Waka, they are more up to one. The one calling himself, I think, to Zubo or something. What about that? They think that we are mad. all this. Think of what is going to happen when this enters this country. So many people will call him with so many names. At least exactly what is happening now. No wonder Canadian government said that the APC and the PDP is a terrorist organization in Nigeria. How on earth? Someone that the kingpin terrorists that were declared wanted in Nigeria are discussing with the government of Nigeria, with even police. And but here, Namikano was bundled back from Kenya. And he was suffering him, calling him also from them. Like, yeah, the same government keep on changing terrorists. Aram, Kurawa, bandit, unknown government, keep on changing their name. Somebody has cried, and the whole government of the country going into the bush, discussing with them. That shows you that these people are comfortable with what is happening in Nigeria. And they look, they tell you something. You see that the happening in Nigeria cannot be stopped unless
should be rounding off now.
Happening in Nigeria. The only thing that we feel Nigeria now is coming together and discuss this country. Oh, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for your contribution. Let's hear you. Good morning.
Good morning to you, Chisom Chinedu.
Good morning.
Olisa Mbeki, good morning to you.
You're welcome.
Good morning, Franklin and Ebuka. Okay, voice of Wizo Sir Thomas Saba.
Go ahead, please.
Okay, let me talk about the terrorist and integrity going on in the country. It is so bad and so sad and so insensitive that in a country that claims to have government and different security architectures, then you now have a terrorist making demands, negotiating with their leaders, telling you what they want and what they do not want. This goes a long way to show you that both our leaders and the security officials are all useless to the people. Yes, because tell me, how can you claim to be? Can you hear me?
Yes, please, go ahead.
Okay, because how can you tell me that you are useful, but you sit down and watch your people need to arise by these different individuals, killing they are being killed in the farmland, they are being killed every day, they are being killed here and there. And all you need, all you have to offer to the people is to go ahead to negotiate with these killers. You're not even talking about them being mutilated. You're not even talking about them being stopped. Somebody's over there talking about how to negotiate with them. I'm talking about Akwukwo. How to negotiate with them, because if you don't negotiate with them, they're going to do this, they're going to do that. But you're not talking about how to get the people arrested. We have the EFCC, we have the police, we have the ICPC, we have the DSS, we have the military, we have the Air Force, we have the Navy, we have all of these things, but insecurity is still going on in the country as if there's no tomorrow. As if we don't have any security officials in the country. It shows you that they are useless to the people. And not just them alone. What about the governors? What about the president? What about the senators? They don't sit down there and watch the people going to arrest. You guys in the studio were talking about the definition of a government and what the government needs to be doing for the people.
It should be rounding off.
You guys talked about how the government are supposed to be protecting lives and property. But I think the Nigerian government are somehow given another definition to what government is all about. I think their own government is that government that sits down and watch the people being killed every day and night, and they feel so comfortable and so relaxed as if nothing is happening. I think these leaders, the president, the governors, the senators, they all should be ashamed of themselves for not being able to do things right in the country and also protect the life of their citizens. Thank you so much.
All right then, thank you for your contribution. Go straight to the point, please. Good morning. Hello? Hello? Are you there?
Good morning, Chisom Chinedu, Olisa Mbeki and Franklin. My name is Michael Igbo. I'm calling from the commercial city of Onitsha right now. I know you can't hear me, but let me go straight to the second point.
We can hear you. Go ahead.
All right. Well, it's quite unfortunate that these days, this modern world, this digital world, that a country like Nigeria are negotiating with the terrorists. I have never witnessed that in my life. I have never saw it in my life, never had it before, except this country that I have been hearing, heard about it. Upon all the intelligent people we have in this country, we have it all, in all sectors. People that are intelligent, smart, and brilliant enough to get the country moving. But in a digital world like this, a computer world like this, the government, let me say, the government of this country are negotiating with the terrorists. That we all know that in a twinkle of eye, that all these bandits can be flourished within some minutes or hours. Does this show that we are progressive? Does this show that maybe we can get it right, maybe 5 or 10 years coming? We are going nowhere with this kind of situation and this kind of thoughts that are coming out from the government. That we know that the government are well equipped in all areas, in all sectors. Just like the first scholar or second scholar says, that these people took an oath when they are going to the office. But now, it is this country that we say that we have a repentant Boko Haram. Boko Haram. Yes, in this country, we are not ready. Because if you continue like this, more are still coming. Just like what you people said here, that if government sends 20 people, they will feed more than 10 people. We are not going away with it. I think it is high time. We do the needful. The government have to tell us the truth. If they are not ready, they are not capable to be there, they should resign automatically. We have people enough that we take this country to the highest order, that we get us what we need, we want. A country like this, I think. Good man, let me not just cross the line.
Okay. So you have 2 minutes, and if you can do this, please go ahead.
You're welcome. It's good to have you.
And listeners, good morning. And moderator in the studio, good morning, please. I am Eloy Prince.
You should try to reconnect. Good morning.
Hello?
Yes, good morning.
Hello?
Good morning.
Good morning. This morning. My lady, good morning.
Good morning.
Tony, good morning.
You're welcome. It's good to have you.
And my friend Franklin, hopefully I just managed to get across. The weather is bad. Now, Odaze, the Delta State. The last count, Dr. Tony told us about, you gave us the number of those who were tapped INEC, yeah? Before it got to Mahmoud. Yes. Most of them did well, some didn't. Some cabinet, like our own Humphrey, though it was a bit late in giving it accolades. First, the man did a good job of healing the brunt of telling this country. But that is what we do in Nigeria. We don't appreciate people when the need comes sharp. Now, having said that, I think you did say it's Kaduna State. I'm not sure if I'm wrong, correct me. That hasn't produced INEC chairman, yeah? Well, if it was this from Kaduna, well, why not? Look at it this way. The electoral system has to be rejigged properly. Even if you bring a sense and we figure out what we got on the floor, it's not going to work out. We know that. Let us rejig that INEC one and the judiciary. Remove these two functions from the purview of Mr. President. I hope I'm getting my grammar right. Yes, remove it from his purview. We find a way of getting them properly organized. Whoever that comes and there is rule of law, I believe he's going to work it out properly. He will work it out. As for the other matter, River State, I'm almost always reluctant to participate because the entire exercise, I mean, put on a very, very ridiculous history of democracy worldwide. Oh, we're getting it wrong. We are going on with it. We are getting it wrong. We are going on with it. You got a governor that negotiates. You got a governor that gets on them once he can't talk. You got a governor that owns whatever to his boss, his godfather, his whatever. I don't think that is good. I don't want us to get to a spot one day.
Should we round off for Daisy?
How did we get here? I think the judiciary is there looking. What's wrong with us? Can't we do something right for a change? Irrespective of whose office go out. Have yourself a blessed day. Thank you very much.
Have yourself a good day too. Let's go over to Facebook.
Okay, so let's look at our Facebook page and see the reactions there. From Dr. Mrs. Molebara from our Imo State, she says, a nation is said to be failed when the unemployed become frustrated and an easy recruit to evil works and restiveness. It's also failed when instruments of war available to individuals, militants and robbers far outweigh those in the military and the political and police armories. When extrajudicial killing is the order of the day and victory at the court is for the highest bidders, a nation is deemed to have failed when good programs no longer work. Nigerians will have confidence in government when decisions taken by the government are open and they follow laid down rules and regulations. Multi-C, thank you for watching. Francis Namani, watching from Amaguns in Enugu State, says the federal government should stop politicizing the oil sector and allow Dangote to operate freely. And then Basil from Onitsha, Basil Ugu, says, imagine a football match between Manchester United and Chelsea, but Chelsea is the one appointing the referee. What do you think would happen? That's how our democracy looks today. The president alone appoints the INEC chairman, the referee of our 2027 election. Some even say the election is already gone. And with the National Assembly that signs anything the president brings, are we not heading for trouble? Shouldn't Nigerians demand a fair referee now before it is too late? Then, Ugochukwu Frank says Bayan Anuga is simply doing his job. No one should expect a government spokesperson to present events exactly as they happened. His role is often to exaggerate in order to protect his position and livelihood. He says speaking the plain truth could easily cost him his job. Then Mbeki from Ihiala says, I want to talk about the new INEC chairman. Nigeria should rise and fight against this news that is everywhere. How the new INEC chairman is planning to tamper with the INEC server. Okay, Arinze Bartholomew and it says His Excellency President Bola Tinubu had just exercised his powers as the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces. There is nothing River State House Assembly or anyone can do to Ibas, who went there to do the bidding of Mr. President. Bandits are ethnic tools to prove the marginalization, suppression, oppression, and conquest of a group of people politically. There was a country indeed. That's where he ended it. Then Austin Mugu from Pegon, it just says, on dialogue with bandits in many states in the north. I said it before, and I'm still saying it now, that any government that will save this country from this insecurity will first call for a national dialogue. They will start with apologizing to all the people of this very country for failing to secure them from terror, even the ones that come from Nigerian security outfit. And he goes ahead to say that he feels that the past government has done one bad thing or the other. And the other parts of here message that I can't acknowledge now because we are trying to manage our time. Then Tochukwu Stanley says about insecurity in Nigeria, first solution is for the FG to conduct referendum that will determine who are Nigerians. Then secondly, have a roundtable discussion to discuss how to move Nigeria forward. There is no country without patriotic leaders and followers, because that is the heart of a nation. With that, we see the zeal to protect our citizens and do the right thing. Then Obiawu Kechukwu Christopher, he says he's watching from Abatan Sube, calling for a probe on the River State sole administrator will be a waste of resources and they may play to the sea people. Both police and Ibras are of the source. Nothing good can come out of it. Both are of the same kingdom and cannot fight each other. And then Ugochukwu, and this one is from Ugochukwu. Okay, Ugochukwu Frank Emmanuel Ezadiogu Godswill Okoye, I thank you all for the comment you drop on our video. We quite appreciate the input you have made, and with that, we have to pause at this point so that we can end this very show.
All right, then. Thank you for your contributions, Tony. Let's round off, please. What would your last take be?
I think we are all saying the same thing in one word or the other. That is just the truth. And many people are calling for reforms. Yes, the call is in order. And two major institutions will have to begin with. One, the electoral body and the judiciary. They are critical as far as whatever we do in this country is concerned. Because the electoral body, they do the recruitment of our leaders to be. Judiciary settles scores and ensure that every right is protected. So these two, if you get these two right and make them truly independent, the journey must have begun. Just like I always say, if you look around in UX, just like I pointed out, it's Trump that appoints the person who is in charge of Federal Electoral Commission, but they don't have those responsibilities as we give to our own INEC here. These people go after expenditures, money spent by political parties and candidates, not necessarily transmitting an election, collection. They don't do those ones. So it's important we must function out this, and we have identified areas that we have problem. Why don't we do something? On the INEC chairman, just like I said, it's late. It's late. Even if Mr. President wants to do anything now, it's not going to be possible again, because this Mahmoud Yakubu is leaving on the 9th of November. Anambra State governorship election is on the 8th. The next day, he's leaving. And his succession must be ready before then. And where would we begin? The legal processes and order. We've just said it here. But if he gets in there, anybody who gets in there, within the next 5 years, can we remove that arbitrariness where Mr. President appoints on the recommendation of the Council of and things like that? He should not have any role. Even when we know in Kenya, the president may have a little role. Even when the panel of the boundary and electoral commissions select the person, the president just appoint the person they must have selected. They have what works for them. We must have what works for us.
Definitely, Franklin.
I would have loved to talk about how our colonial masters do their own appointment, because people that colonized us, but how we jettison their own system, they hand it over to us and then design our own. It tells you that we are deliberate about, on how to ensure that people are emasculated and that we don't get developed. Because over there in the UK, you have what they call House of Speakers, which is populated by people from different political parties, and they come together to appoint who heads the Electoral Commission. There are other processes, but time won't permit me to do that. So the thing is, I don't know why we don't copy well. We only copy for convenience and don't copy for progress.
Isn't that what lobbying is